You're watching the Tesla Life with your host, Mark Cutler.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 270. Here we are. Man, it's what's the 7th of September, 2022. We are that close to fall. That close. Sad day.
Number 270. So this must be our last show, right? Because that's 270 hours of Tesla content. There can't possibly be 271 hours. We must have covered it all. So is it true? This is the final show?
You would be wrong about that, Patrick. Completely wrong. There is probably 27,000 hours of Tesla news out there. I am sure. Because this week there is no shortage. It just keeps rolling.
Indeed.
And that is what we're here to do. First, let's do the introduction. Mr. Patrick Connor joins us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir, besides hot?
Hello. It's luckily not that hot here today. Yesterday was a hot one. And so yesterday they did another VPP dispatch from our power walls on the side of our house. That's I don't know how many, number 6 or 7. I should make a list. I'll blog about it up here at carswithquarters.net later this month.
There you go.
And I've got some news. We have yet a third vehicle, an EV, in our little home fleet.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not a Tesla. I'm sorry to say, but
you said little, so
yes, exactly.
It's a Porsche Taycan.
that's not little either.
No.
He was probably started with expensive.
Right, yeah. So this is for a teen driver. So I wanted to get something cheap so that when
Is it another
inevitable
Leaf?
happens. No, but that was on the list. That, it's a Chevy
Volt?
Spark EV.
Spark! Oh, wow.
Yes.
Spark! Congratulations!
You're part of the Spark
Yeah.
family now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I wanted
My daughter
something
just
cheap.
sold her Spark.
Oh, maybe I bought it.
Is it gray?
No, it's red.
Okay, all right. You got a different one.
The sales guy was kind of funny. He after we had decided to buy it, he came out with the paperwork and he said, "I thought your car was red, but I have to inform you that it's salsa."
It was also. I remember that.
Yeah, so we have a salsa colored car.
Excellent. More EVs in the family. Always a good thing.
Yep.
Thing. Also joining us, Mr. Casey Green from the DC area. Not quite as hot. How are you today, sir?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
me. So last time I spoke to you guys from right here.
You were on the road during the show. I remember that.
Yeah, I was at this supercharger. And remember I told you it was all iced up. Or maybe it was this one. Either way, right on the South Dakota border. Well, we had a mission accomplished, and thanks to Teslafy, I could have used Teslascope, but I used Teslafy because that was what was on my screen. We did a total of 58 drives for a total of 3,500 miles, just about. And we used, as usual, a megawatt hour, 1.3 megawatt hours of power. Because of the 80 mile an hour speed limit and 75 mile an hour speed limit most of the way, we were burning 392 watt hours per mile. But I'm told by a lot of Model X's that they get 400 daily, and now I'm wondering how fast they drive. Because mine's usually in the high 200s when I'm on the highway. So it would have cost me $183.84 if I didn't have an old car. And we did a couple home charges, and so that ended up being 29 supercharger stops. It could have been less, or actually it would have been more, but for less time if I had a second driver to help me out, where I was sleeping during a lot of the supercharges. So that would have cost us $176.80, and we spent 21 hours and 15 minutes charging out of it's 28 hours for just pure driving on the trip. Interesting things that happened. We talked about last time how I went past Lordstown Motors, which became Foxconn. Well, after that, on the way back, for some reason, the car decided I should stop at the normal Illinois supercharger, which wasn't on the route. But I was like, oh, that's cool. It's a new one. Let's go try it out. It's in a municipal building, so it won't work for if you're towing anything. If you're like got bicycles. You got to like be careful with the bicycles. If you got a trailer, make sure it's just the U-Haul cube because it's not going to fit. And but on the way there, again, this was not on the way either. The car decided that I should go past the Rivian factory.
Normal Illinois.
Normal Illinois, yes. It said on the turning directions, it said Rivian, so I figured that would be like, I could have sworn that they say that they're Normal or whatever the township is. They never say we're in Rivian, whatever state they're in, I forget now, Illinois, and so it was Rivian Street, Rivian Road, whatever it was, and
Oh, really?
yeah, and I was like, this is so either it was a cosmic coincidence. Or whoever programmed the nav is a big nerd like me, or somebody at Tesla is doing some espionage, corporate espionage. And to further lend to that conspiracy theory is FSD did mess up on that road, so I had to push the camera button near the factory. So if I were to read my logs, it wouldn't stand out at all that, that it sent pictures of the Rivian factory to Tesla.
I don't think there's anything you can see from the road that Tesla cares about that Rivian is doing.
I did
see can't see from Google Earth themselves.
Exactly. I did see a whole mess of Rivian vans, a couple R1Ts and an R1S, and then as we got to the charging station, there were a bunch of R1Ts. Just, I mean, it's their city, so why not?
All blocking the superchargers, right?
No. One was on a level 2 charger, one was on a generic DC fast charger, and then the others were just in the parking lot, like they had business to attend to at the municipal building. So it was pretty cool, a fun trip.
Very good. Yeah.
I recommend.
You definitely got some sights along that trip.
Yes.
Then.
Yes, I definitely recommend.
You're a much more efficient driver than I am. I was just looking, and my watt hours per mile is about 600.
I got that on the racetrack and while towing the larger trailer.
Wow.
The larger U-Haul trailer.
I'm looking at the energy in, not energy out, which so I'm including that inefficiency of which is like an extra 20%. But still, you're what year is your?
It's a 2018 P100D, so I've got the big motor in the back, and the car does try to sleep it whenever it can. But like I pretty much noticed that right at 55, if I'm reading the parameters, right at 55, it sleeps that bad boy unless I'm still accelerating, and and it'll try to hold it on the front motor. It does help because that's double the size. But I do recommend that if you do this, try not to do it all in one run, and try to make sure that you have one or more co-drivers. The last time I did this. Anything similar, I went to Kentucky, stayed with a friend, then went up to Illinois, picked up another friend, and then we went to the LA Auto Show and back, and we rotated drivers every couple hours.
Yep.
And that was still a gruel, and this was, I do not recommend doing it as a single driver all in one shot without sleeping for the night. But you can do it. So anybody who says, "Oh, electric cars, they don't work," blah blah blah, I can't just decide to drop a hat and take a trip across country, they're talking out of their butts.
Yep. Yep.
Well, with that great segue, let's go to Patrick, who's got our first story of the night about California VPP. That
is right. So we have talked about VPPs on here frequently, and I'm happy to report that in California, Tesla now has more than 3,500 homes participating, and they're able to put out 24 megawatts of power when the grid demands it. So if you're either a customer of SoCal Edison or PG&E, and you have a Tesla Powerwall, you can participate in this. And you can help keep the grid going during the worst of times, like a heat wave. And anybody want to guess if there's going to be more heat waves? I'm thinking we have at least a decade's worth of them. The cool thing about this is when in early August, there were only about 2,150 homes participating. And now about a month later, 3,500 homes. That is huge growth in just a month. Impressive. And I do have to admit that I'm envious. So I'm in the virtual power plant for my local utility, but it's not administered by Tesla. So if you're in a Tesla administered VPP, you get an extra screen in your app.
Oh,
and
nice.
It shows you, it shows you all this really cool info, not just about what your home's doing, but about how the whole VP event is going and how collectively what you guys are all doing to help the grid. And so if you're administering a VPP, take note, because that really, that might be part of the reason they've had this incredible growth. The users, the people who participate, get to see the impact that they are collectively having. They get to feel part of it. They get to see the mission. They get to see how they're helping. So all that, I think, includes be inclusive. It doesn't hurt at all.
It doesn't hurt to get a little cash in your pocket.
Yes.
Interesting. It's an interesting thing is you get to see how the team is playing as opposed to just one player.
Yeah,
and that,
exactly.
That groups people into a cause.
Yes. Yeah, and you're right, Casey. The money doesn't hurt, but I don't think people are doing it for that reason. But I think they want to be fairly compensated so that the wear and tear it's going to cause on their battery and the energy that they're going to give away, they get compensated for.
Exactly.
And that's
the exact opposite of what the folks in England were trying to scaremonger people away from doing. Like, oh, you don't want vehicle to grid and you don't want this VPP because the government can just reach in and steal your electricity. No, they're not. That's not the plan.
No. And I don't know how they're doing it in California, but one of the cool things that they just added last month, when I get a text saying that this event is going to happen, and it's at least 12 hours in advance because they plan them, and there's a link in there I can just click to opt out. So on any of the events, I can choose to opt out if I want to. Maybe I have some other plans. Maybe I'm going to need the batteries for my own reasons. whatever. And of course, if you opt out of too many, you're not going to get paid for that month.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's great flexibility, though. Like you have the ability if plans change and all of a sudden you have to do some driving to maybe South Dakota, things have changed so that you can opt out and do something different.
Exactly.
Right. And giving the users the ability to opt out is really important. There was just something XL Energy did in Texas where they took over people's thermostats and they did not allow them to opt out and change it.
They did 6 years ago when they signed up for the account, but that's not the same as what you do. You can I don't want this one.
Right. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that's going to make someone just rip the smart thermostat off their wall and go buy a dumb thermostat and never let the utility have control again. You have to make the participants partners, not your subjects.
They're not your children of an ultra strict household. They are individuals.
Yeah. You don't get to just abuse them. Yeah. So I really like this. I think it's a great program. I think it's being run well. It's great to see it growing. The grid needs it. It helps the power stay on during heat waves so people don't die. It's awesome.
Literally,
especially lately, it's a big benefit to California, and it looks like they're adding about 400 a week. It'll be interesting to see how big this actually grows. The other I guess interesting thing is that, and I don't know if this is the same in your area, Patrick, but the people that are participating in it, they get to see how many people are participating as well, so they get the total for themselves to see, and you can see how this is growing. And that's a great thing. It's a common cause, and it allows people to rally behind a team and to move it forward. And I'm sure they're getting benefit for that.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay, with that, I did skip over a story that I will hit now. It's going to be a picture share here.
You did. The chat was asking about
it. It's got something to do with Patrick as well.
Oh,
what?
I don't know if he knows this. I don't even know if he knows this. But this may look familiar to Patrick.
It does.
This is a brand new service station for Tesla that has opened up, and it is absolutely cavernous. You could get lost in this thing. You probably need a map to get to the coffee bar. It is a big facility for sure. And I'm probably going to slaughter the name. Is it Tigard, Oregon?
Tigard. Yep, Tigard, Oregon. And this used to be a Toys R Us location.
Oh, wow.
And now it's a Tesla service center. And I just swung by yesterday and took a picture of it. Monday, actually, because it was closed and for the holiday. Or I don't know if they're actually open and operating yet, or if they're just doing some stuff on the side.
So
But I'm really happy that this is here.
Is that your Model X?
No, mine's blue. That's not me. No,
Okay.
I was just in the parking lot, not inside. I didn't get to go in.
I'm here. I'm taking pictures of your stuff.
That's right. Yeah, move aside. Move aside. So in 2016, when I got my car, their service center was in Tigard. Not this location. It was in a building that they leased, just in a business park. And then they closed that when they opened the South Waterfront Service Center. And the South Waterfront Service Center is nice, but it's in downtown Portland. There's always traffic. It's not close. It's not easy to get to. And it's really not that big just because downtown real estate is expensive. And so their parking lot is too small. There's cars that are just jammed next to each other. They use often the handicapped spots for delivery. And I'm like, that's an ADA violation. Come on, Tesla, you're better than that. And they're like, oh, no, we've got the keys right here. We're going to move. So they're not parked there for very long. But yeah, I'm not cool with that. But what other option do they have? Because it's so crowded. Anyway, Silicon Forest is on the west side. This service center is on the west side. Most of the Teslas in the greater Portland area on the west side. So this is going to alleviate a lot of the overflow stress that's been happening on the South Waterfront. Hopefully that means their parking lot's not as crowded and they don't have to do these ADA violations that annoy me. And this looks like an awesome spot. So I'm really happy this is open.
Very good. Very good. Off to the Great White North next. We've got a couple stories from Quebec, Canada, whereas Tesla lately has been fueling the rumor mill that there may be some sort of facility coming to Canada. Tesla managers were in Quebec recently touring a mine and plant that mine graphite in the province of Quebec. And they were examining the processes of the graphite plant and, of course, the mine itself. And then accompanying that as well, that there turns out that there was a posting for a new job that is based in Quebec. And this job was for a recruiting specialist that would be able to perform in high volume settings. Now, what's kind of interesting about that job posting is that that same job has been posted in both Berlin and Austin just before it was being announced that the gigafactories were going to be placed there. So they wanted to get a person that was great at recruiting in that area to be ramped up and ready to go, because of course there's going to be thousands of hires that are coming down the line, and they wanted to get that person set up and operating first. So again, we're kind of reading tea leaves here, but it does look like there could be something going on for a Canadian location of some sort, whether it's an actual gigafactory for cars or more of maybe a battery plant or processing of battery materials. That could be the case too. But with this job posting for a recruiter in Quebec, it's kind of interesting that that could be the case. And of course, with the geography of Canada, being able to get to the mines of Sudbury in Ontario, where nickel is, and where the graphite mine is over in Quebec, there's not too far apart. You're not going to be you'll be traveling by truck to get that stuff back and forth, but it's not. It's about a 6-hour drive. So over the Northern Canadian Highway system. So this could be something coming down the line that we don't know yet, but where there's, what they say, where there's smoke, sometimes there's fire. So we're going to keep an eye on this going forward, but maybe some good signs for getting some Tesla additional jobs or facilities in Canada.
Yeah.
Shoot. If it's another gigafactory, that those numbers, I mean, the 2.2 million is going to be blown out of the water. Just next year.
Well, it does take them time to build the factory, right? Like,
Yeah, but they still run the others on overdrive while they work on it.
Canada is not Shanghai. I can guarantee you that. So
But it's
you
not
can't
Texas
just,
either.
Yeah,
So-
it's
Got to stop and
it's-
to eat some Timbits.
it's
and
probably
stuff.
somewhere between Texas and Berlin, I would say.
Okay. Probably closer to the
bureaucracy.
Texas side.
Bureaucracy wise, but
Yeah.
that's one thing that Tesla is pushing for a new factory is they're looking to cut the red tape to get a factory and permits and everything in place so that they can move at the speed that they want to. So we'll see if this continues along, if more stories leak. I am sure that if this is serious, there's going to be some stories still coming. So we will keep our eye on that for sure.
Okay, says you better speak French.
Well, there's language laws in Quebec too, so it's not. But then again, I have to say that if Quebec can operate in Germany, in Berlin, probably used to some of the regulations, and you're going to get more regulations in Quebec than you are in Ontario because of the language law. But I don't know. We'll have to see.
Is that just because they're French? I mean, like the French in France.
It's the protection of the Canadian French language is what it is. Canada has two official languages, English and French, and they're equal under the law. In Quebec, of course, they're trying to keep people to continue to speak French. You can't force them to do it in their daily lives, but when it comes to signs, even private signs of businesses, they're forced to be in Quebec. If they're in Quebec, they need to be in French. And the English sign only has been outruled for a number of years in Quebec. So they're trying to keep everybody always thinking French, even though you can talk English on the streets. It's not like you're going to be locked up. But there are definitely language laws that they are trying to keep the French Canadian heritage and language alive and well and growing in the province.
But it sounds just as aggressive and militant about it as the actual French are with their language. You can't bring that word in here. We got to go to the university and come up with a new word for you.
Could
so
be.
I'm wondering if it's a French language thing that just does this.
Well, and another thing is in Quebec, they have seen that the population has shrunk, the number of French speakers has shrunk. So they're trying to hang on to the heritage and they're trying to push as hard as they want. And in some cases, it's been a detriment to them. They've had businesses leave and go to neighboring provinces that are more friendly towards English. So that's something that Tesla will face if they set up shop in Quebec. It's something to note for sure.
They can probably afford it.
Well, yeah, they're not going to be necessarily doing it. If it's a mine or a factory, that's not selling retail. That's not going to have a lot of the same requirements that something. They're not going to be producing labels to the public or anything.
Right.
It might still qualify though. Speaking of, they can afford it. Have you guys heard the rumor that they're no longer giving Uber credits or loaners?
I've heard rumors.
I haven't seen any confirmations of it. No.
Yeah, me neither.
Just rumors at this end.
Okay, so I'm not the only one hearing this. That's what I was getting at.
I've been pretty lucky in that I've always gotten a loaner, and the last time I did that was June. So
there you go. Yeah, somebody said they got one the day before yesterday, and then the next person said they got one, and it was fend for yourself. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll update you if we know for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Next story is about Tesla sales. We've seen things on the upswing since the minor setback last quarter. Yeah. This note comes to us via Teslarati, and the recorded sales year over year has now swelled to 105%. So as of, and I guess the year over year would have ended end of August, I believe. So for that 12-month period, Tesla's grown by over 100% in sales. So we did have that setback in the previous quarter, but even putting that into the calculation, 105% increase year over year is fantastic. Yeah. And we've even heard some other bits of sales news as well, which we'll get to in the show. But everything seems to be on the swing up. Everything seems to be operating very smoothly, and cars are flowing out like mad. So it appears that Fremont is still on breakneck course above what they can typically produce. So they're above their percentage, and Shanghai is just knocking it out of the park. It's just unbelievable.
So you mentioned that that they had the shutdown. So who's ahead of them on this recovery?
Nobody.
Oh, really? So you wouldn't say that somebody's leading them?
No, there's no leading going on.
So in second place was GM at 40.9%, followed by Daimler at 40%. So not even in the same
ballpark.
Not same league, not same ballpark. I mean, they
right. It's not just a 2% delta. It's significant.
Yeah.
But the car market is relatively mature. So if there are people that are growing, that means there are some people that are shrinking. So there's a few on that list that are not doing as well as they were last year.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's a changing thing, right? Like it's I can definitely see the market changing dramatically towards electric vehicles. Like it's happening right in front of us. And I don't know if a lot of my friends and neighbors that aren't connected with the electric car market are actually understanding what's going on. But we're going to get to a point in the not too near future where people are going to be demanding EVs from their car dealerships, and they're not going to have them. You know, it's going to be this price spike that we've seen recently because of shortage of parts or different things that have caused this inflationary amount to hit us. This may continue in EVs too, as far as I know, just based on I see this ever increasing demand for EVs. And if others don't get into the game in a serious fashion, as Tesla has done, that just leaves, Tesla to sell cars. And of course, they can't sell cars to everybody. There are price differences. There are types of vehicles. There's a number of things that would allow others to be in this market. It's just that they have to ante up, and they have to ante up now because this change is coming quickly as far as I can see.
Yeah, you're not wrong about them not understanding it, not grokking it, not even being able to comprehend it in any way. My neighborhood group, we got into a discussion about they were trying to make it political, and they were like, "Oh yeah, look at this Volt! It's $26,000 to replace the battery." Not mentioning that the dealerships can set their own prices for the parts. About 5 of us were in there dispelling myths, and then one of the most recent ones was I posted that same chart. I'm like, "Yeah, your whole you can't go on long trips thing is just garbage." And another person was handling the whole where's the energy come from, and I was just going back after the easy stuff, like oh they're expensive. I'm like, well, you can get one for under 30 if you want. It's not going to be a Tesla, but it can happen.
Yeah. There's definitely affordable options out there. Patrick knows that.
We just bought one. Yes. Yeah. The funny thing was, so we're negotiating the price. I got them down several $1,000s from what they had. And I had done my research ahead of time, and I was willing to walk away, all the things, and then I was trying to get another $400 off the price. And they were like, no, this is as low as we can go. And the funny, so I'm having this discussion, and they brought out one of the managers, and he was like, this is the hottest car in the U.S. right now. And I'm like, you're telling me a 2016 Chevy Spark EV is the hottest car? And he would try that line somewhere else, buddy. And he was like, no, plug-in vehicles. Everybody wants a plug-in vehicle, plug-in hybrid or battery electric, because gas prices have been so horrible. And so used EVs are just flying off the lots. And so I ended up getting another $200 off the price, and that's where we finally agreed. And so it was. I love negotiating. It's fun. I view it as a game. I don't stress out over it.
Once you have your facts down, it's a lot easier, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you've come in with that mentality that I can walk away at any point, that again is a game changer for a negotiation for sure.
Right.
I was fine with it as a salesperson, but I don't like it as a purchaser.
Next, what do we got here? Casey's got a story about the Semi.
Yeah, so Tesla has started to hire for the semi-service program, which sounds like you'll be writing the service manuals for the Tesla semis. You'll be going into the customers' depots to do repairs. You'll be working alongside their mechanics. And then there was this little blurb at the very end of the job description that said you'll also be helping with the with consumer sales and service. So I'm thinking you'll be helping out every quarter at the end of the push with cars. and that's exciting because if you are a diesel tech or a heavy truck tech, this is new ground. It's not the same old.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're into trying something new, what better place to be able to start to translate your skills before you become obsolete? Stave that off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was interesting that this article kind of pointed out it zeroed in on where these first deliveries are going to be, right? So
yes. So Fremont, Sacramento, Modesto, Central Valley, and Reno. So that tells you
all around Tesla Central, right? You know, the Fremont factory, and out all the way to Sparks. So Modesto's in there, of course, where Frito-Lay has installed those chargers. So it looks like with the job openings all in that area, it looks like it's the transportation companies are probably going to be centered in those areas.
Yeah, or at least the very first few customers, and then it's gonna probably roll out the same way that the cars do. It's gonna just all around where you can get a Tesla engineer, Tesla tech, and then they just start pushing it, and then all of a sudden it's just everywhere at once, and hope it goes well.
Yeah, they'll have to do that initial testing with a handful of companies just to make sure that those rigs are performing as they expect, and those companies are getting what they feel are the right operations out of those vehicles as well. So probably a big collaboration between those new techs and the companies themselves, or the company's service personnel as well.
Yeah, it called out that you'll be writing, or at least helping to write the initial service manuals and such. They didn't call it that way, but the words they use tell you that's exactly what they're going to be doing. And it's one thing to have a tech nearby, but it's a whole other thing to have a tech and an engineer nearby. So that's why they keep it close. And then you got to keep your engineers happy, because they have choices once they write that Tesla on their resume. So
that's a good point. If you these are fleet vehicles, right? So they're not just going to be taken to a service center to get fixed. There's in-house people that are going to be using these manuals, doing these repairs. And if you today are interested in a job like that, go work at Tesla for a couple of years. You'll have that on your resume. Then if you want to go to Frito-Lay and be their in-house tech, you're far more likely to get that job if that's the vehicles they're using and you used to work at the company and you have to write the manuals. You're definitely going to have what you need on your CV to get a good job.
And we see that all the time with the ex-Tesla techs. Like anybody who ever did any work on the Roadster, they've got their own shop and they're making mad money. And then you see like your local mobile tech is typically either gone to another company or started their own thing after being the mobile tech for a couple of years, and they're still doing well. But it's like, I was the Tesla tech. So if you want me, I'll take care of it. And not me personally, but your Tesla tech. And and in fact, the one that I like the best, he went off and started his own shop in my town in South Carolina. So if I need any work done there that he can do, I'll be doing it. And he's not afraid to say, hey, that's got too much equipment for me. You can take it over to them and wait in line.
Right.
Yeah. Very good. And this next story is about the Tesla app expanding a little bit. What's that about, Casey?
So in the Tesla app, they've done a couple of different things. From one, like Patrick mentioned earlier, if you have the VPP, it's from Tesla, that will show up. You will also get your last known tire pressure to show up in the app. And let's see what else they added this time. You can tap on an individual supercharger in the app, just like you can on the screen, and they'll give you some more information about it, from the speeds and available slots, as well as just like on the car, you get the what's there as far as is there restrooms, is there Wi-Fi, is there eateries or shopping. That's now in there as well, and you can still use the Tesla app as usual to send that to the car, and it'll automatically start navigating to it, which is nice.
Yeah, Tesla's needed that in route planning in the app for a while.
Yeah,
and they're slowly getting to that.
Yes, the icons in the car, when you tap on them, it brings up a list of that type of venue, but in the app, it doesn't do that, at least not yet.
Not yet, yeah.
It'd be nicer to do it there, because in the car, it starts to want to navigate to those things, and you're like, I just wanted to know which one has the bathroom. I don't want to go to it.
And the other thing that was kind of interesting was the autopilot counter.
Ah, yes.
So it's actually looking and recording the number of miles that you travel in autopilot and displaying that. So that's becoming a stat that you can take a look at as an owner as to how much of your trip was in autopilot or how much was in manual drive.
I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I always tell people that my car does most of the driving, and we'll see how much most is.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
If you're using Tesla insurance, that's going to be a big factor too.
Oh yes, this is true. Although Tesla insurance just is a little too expensive for me.
It's all over the board, isn't it? Tesla insurance.
I mean, the quote that they gave me initially, it was cheaper both times, but then when I start to make it match, mine is cheaper.
Right. When you start looking at the deductibles and you start looking at what the windshield replacement cost would be, you start weighing it equally, which you have to do.
You should, yeah.
Compare apples to apples, right? But I hear all over the board for that.
And I've talked to a bunch of people in all of my various groups, because with me being all over the country, I'm in several of the groups, and in each of the groups, there's always at least 3 or 4 people who actually it was significantly cheaper than even if you match them up. To go with Tesla than what they had before, which is incredible.
Yeah, different.
Oh, you can remove your own access to the app too. if you're an additional driver, you can delete yourself from the car. I don't want this.
No, I'm out. Next, we got a story about sales, but this one coming from China.
Yes. So Tesla China is expected to ship over 100,000 cars in September this month. Woo!
Yeah.
I told you they're overclocked the factory. They're a tech company.
Yeah, with Tesla actually running into that shutdown for COVID, they actually ramped up some of the abilities at Shanghai to produce more cars. And this is one of the first signs of it where they could hit 100,000 cars in a single month. That would put them on par to 1.2 million
from Shanghai alone.
If they can keep up this rate, which probably they can't. But the changes they made at Shanghai, they said were good for 1 million a year.
They did.
And here we are, the first evidence of it showing that it could perceivably go over 1 million a year, which is again, Shanghai has outperformed since they turned the first shovel of dirt in that field. It's really because
I thought it was a mud bucket.
They've been on a phenomenal pace and continue to blaze a trail, definitely.
Yeah. So now we go ahead.
Tesla doesn't report monthly numbers, but they do report quarterly.
Yeah.
So after we get the Q3 numbers, we should have a show where we look at what we predicted and how far they are, and then project that out a bit and see where we think it's going to land.
Yeah.
So about a month from now, maybe.
There you go.
Yep.
So now they need to start doing the same thing with service centers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if the vehicles production is growing this fast, that means superchargers and service centers have to grow too.
Yes. They'll get there.
Absolutely. Next story. This was kind of an interesting story. Our friend Chief Todd from the now famous Indiana Police Department that now has 9 Tesla patrol vehicles. I sent a note out to Todd, and I knew that they were opening up a new police station. They were moving from their downtown spot to a new station specifically built for policing. And I had asked Todd, what's your charging infrastructure like up there? And he said, oh yeah, we've got 9 cars now, so we've had to expand our thoughts as to what charging was going to be. And he said, yeah, I will send you a few photos of what it looks like now. And just this past week, later in the week, I got those photos, so I thought I would share them with the group. If I can find them in my feed. Here that's them. Let's go share this now. Bingo.
Bada bing.
So we've got the police only pole with the dual destination chargers, one on each side. Yeah. And Todd had told us that they have 2 of these poles in the back. They've got dual pole in the front as well. And they've even got thoughts of adding some more. But right now, they've got a total of 6.
They would be prime candidates to lock their VIN numbers into the V3 charger so that nobody else can use them.
Right. But again, I believe the police only with the police sticker will probably deter. And of course, it's in the back of the police lot. It's probably going to deter a lot of people that are looking for a free charge and just showing up.
Just keeping honest people honest, you know.
So
I'm going to go put it in plug share right now. I've got my phone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to say very friendly. Ignore the signs. Go ahead, use it.
This guy named Patrick in plug share got me a night in jail.
See, doing it from Oregon. Yes, indeed. That would be hilarious. Not for them. Not for them. Put the prices free, Patrick. That will help too.
What are you in for? Stealing 5 cents of electricity?
Electricity was free. The ticket I got for it was $65.
Derek asked, "What's the charge if I use the charger?" I would say theft of electricity from a government facility,
or just illegal parking.
Hockey Day has a great point. You got to be more clear in your signage. If another police officer from out of state comes by, and they...
That's right. I am a police officer.
Police.
I'm following the signs.
Exactly.
I mean, they come in either with a personal or police cruiser Tesla, and they're police. It wasn't clear enough.
Well, actually, with them having now 6 chargers, probably
just
moving
to
the V3 over time probably will make sense. Then they can lock them down, definitely. But I also had someone on our Twitter feed, which is at the Tesla Life, prompt us and said, "Hey, can someone from town charge there?" And I said, "Well, according to the lettering on the pole, I would say no.
Right.
I would say that's a hard no. But you could definitely knock on their door and ask. But I would not plug in without permission for sure."
Right.
The thought was that originally that this police department was going to offer a public charger station as well. So maybe that is still going to happen because the build out is not complete at this new headquarters as of yet. It's operational, but it's not completely there.
With it being a V3 supercharger, they can say these are our VINs, and then they just don't add a charge to it. And then any other foreign VINs, they pay this much. Here's how much you charge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and of course, with the Baggerville Police Department, what they do is those cars are assigned to officers that take them back to their homes at night. Yep. So those cars sit in the community. I didn't ask Todd this, but do they reimburse officers for maybe plugging in at home? Do they do that at all?
I thought we discussed that with him. I don't know if he gives us a concrete answer, but it was definitely something they were aware of.
Yeah,
right. They probably already have a policy that applies to their gasoline vehicles, that they're just using the same policy.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you took it home, so you didn't have to use your own whatever. So you had to put gas in the cruiser. So same with the EV.
But great to get an update from Todd. And Todd, thanks very much for sending us those photos. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Next, Patrick's got a story for us about X marks the spot?
X marks the spot.
That's right. Yeah, so X.com. I started wondering, Musk has said that if the Twitter deal falls through, his backup plan is X.com. And if you know the Musk lore, you know that's when he merged, when they merged with Confinity and X.com merged to become PayPal eventually. So ever since way back then, 20 years ago, Musk has retained this X.com domain, and he hasn't done anything with it except it has the single letter X on it today. So that got me
Oh, he's
wondering-
also played around with the metadata, like when you go in and like read the page. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yep. That's trolling. I believe it. Yeah. I wrote a blog post on carswithcords.net discussing what ideas I thought this could become. So we supply a bunch of news on our social medias, and I often run into, you've hit your 5 free articles this month, or something's behind a paywall, but I want to share it. But the paywalls, I mean, I'm not going to subscribe to all the major papers plus a bunch of regional papers. It's just that mindset no longer works. We all get data through these aggregators that send us all over the internet for data. And so I can't have 20 subscriptions, but I want to read an article from this one this day and an article from that one another day. So how could you do that? And I'm thinking that X.com could be a good way to do that, because if you can have a subscription to X.com and they pay all these media sites enough to allow their users access to it, that way, if they have something that's hot, they get paid. You don't have to have a subscription to 20 different news magazines. That'll never happen. And so just like, I hope there's a list of little things like that in there that I think would be really cool. We know Musk loves Doge. You'd have a Doge wallet built in as part of it. He's talked about Pravda in the past, about how you can rate news agencies for their reliability and credibility, and reporters individually. That could be built into it. And I just kind of wanted to throw this out there and get people to throw out their ideas also on what this new thing could be. And certainly I'm thinking about it in all the cool stuff Musk has been interested in, but that doesn't have to limit it at all. One of the things we see on Twitter is that he'll take feedback occasionally and improve based on it. Not always.
he'll take it, but sometimes more graciously than others.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's stop whining, which sometimes I'm in that mood too. So I mean, we all have moods. We're all people.
Yeah.
So I thought it was just a fun little experiment about, if you design something from the beginning, knowing everything that we know now about how the internet works, what could you do?
I will say one thing, that Casey, you made a great point on the article, because you can go to carswithcords.net and read the article and comment on it yourselves. And Patrick, of course, and others get to see those responses. But Casey had made a comment about, it kind of makes sense as to why Musk is really concerned about the Twitter bots, because he's looking to start, and if he is looking to start this new revolution, this new reworking of how the internet can work, he's looking to have a big splash when he starts. He wants millions and millions of users to introduce this to give it a running start right away. And if Twitter has 50 or 60% of their actual users are bots, they're not real, they're automated fake things to sell things, then you're not getting the bang for your buck that you thought you were.
Right.
You thought you were getting those millions and millions of accounts, and it turns out that over half of them aren't real, and will not try a new service or connect to it in any way, shape, or form. So that kind of makes sense as to why he's really critical about how Twitter represented its number of users to him on this sale.
Yeah, and so when you look at the actual useful bots, like the thread readers or the fun ones like the Ace Court Reporter or the Remind Me and XYZ Days bots, those ones, they would fit into the percentage that Twitter gave him of fake accounts, and he's like, okay, that's cool, and these are useful. But when you look at the real number, and as Mark said, it could be as high as something as 80% of them are not actually legitimate. That does mess with this substantially.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we've got 8 billion users, and only 600 million are actually active.
Yeah, it's interesting, and as Patrick mentioned, Elon's had this in his head for over 20 years, since he got rid of PayPal, or started PayPal, I guess, and then it just kind of sat in the background as they were working through PayPal itself, working through the sale, and then leaving that market altogether. It's kind of interesting that he may have been planning this for a long time. And the way Elon is, how his mind is always thinking about something, I could just see him adding to this over time. As the years go by, putting another thought to it, thinking about another facet that it could handle. This could be quite remarkable. It could be on almost, as Patrick has mentioned, an almost reinvention of the internet, based on what he's collected over these past couple of decades.
Yeah, interesting times. And that's why we have a show every week.
Exactly.
Another thing that I was concerned with is his free speech absolutism. As you pointed out about him being able to accept criticism sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So one of the things I am afraid of with that is that it X-Chan site.
You cut out there from you for a bit, Casey. But you're right. We don't want this just to become the worst of humanity has to offer.
Having a free soapbox to stand upon and shout out whatever they want.
Right.
I kind of with your thought, Patrick, of being able to rate the news that comes in, to be able to come back and say this is truthful, this is unbiased. Maybe the free speechers could be rated as well.
Just say, hey, this person's a terrible commenter.
So if you're looking at somebody that has a rating of 1%, that's probably not a good source to listen to. But if you're a conspiracy theorist, maybe what 1% is what you're looking for. But it still gives them the ability to talk about it. It's just that people are not going to take too much of that seriously if they don't have a good rating based on their peers.
Right. And if it happens to be like a kid-friendly site and somebody's got like a score of 50% or less on following the rules of the kid site, then maybe don't let them in, or don't let them post at least.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. There's a real dilemma here between not getting just in with your own bubble. You want to have outside influences and hear new and different ideas, but you also don't want the crackpots and the hate speech and whatever. So it's a tightrope that's almost impossible to walk.
Yeah, and we've said this before. When Elon gets involved in this, is that it can draw some attention away from Tesla, from SpaceX, from the Boring Company, from other projects that are in motion. I'm hoping it's not too much of a distraction as time goes along, because we certainly don't want SpaceX or Tesla to suffer because of it. Right.
If he were not in court for Twitter, would we have seen Master Plan 3.0 by now? Probably.
Right. Yeah. But he's being pulled in multiple directions.
It would be nice if he just takes it away from his video game time and not any of his professional time.
Well, you got the longer it goes, where he's burning the candle at maybe 3 and not just 2 ends. I think Elon's got to carve out some time for himself. So whether or not he wants to play video games or whatever, more power to him to do so. Because I think he's deserved it. I think he needs to have that break from what he's doing. It's still remarkable that he works the way he works all to this point, all this time. So
and
I'm not saying he can't
I've
play video
always-
games. I'm just saying that
Well, the thing
take
is,
this from that. Go ahead.
Not necessarily. I maybe I'm wrong, but I've just made the assumption that that video game time is him with his children.
Right. I
And
hope so.
That's
yeah.
important too.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
take away from that. You
I'm not
guys
saying that's saying you have to take away from that, but like you said, like if anything suffers, hopefully it's like personal and not. I mean, I don't want him to like hurt himself by like just running too hard, but man, like
I think we all believe that maybe he should just ease off on the throttle a little bit, like just
his mom seems to think he can't.
you know, just, and it may be that he can't. It may be that's his makeup, is that he has to run at 100% all the time. Maybe that's his character flaw, that he just cannot ease up on himself or what he's doing. And that certainly that can, you know, it makes you look like an oak performer at the beginning, but it also can cut your life short.
It does.
Yes.
So it's you know, it's a balancing act. Everything in
I mean,
moderation.
he has to live long enough to die on Mars.
Right.
Yeah.
and we've seen how it can affect his health, and it has in the past. He, you know, just looking at how, like, look at his face, look at his body, look at his hair, and like you can tell, like when he's eating well, when he's sleeping at the factory, like he looks a different way than when he's like happy and just like jovial. It's you do get concerned for him just as a human.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, with that, let's wrap her up. If you haven't already, please, through the week, check with us at the Tesla Life on our Twitter feed, also on our Facebook feed, the Tesla Life #1. You can see updates throughout the week as we get them. And Patrick, what do you got for us beside, we know you're writing with Cars with Cords, anything else going on?
That is true. And I'm also with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And I'm sure there's a EV association near you. And if not, hey, you can do like Mark and start one. So yeah, there's also local Tesla communities. You should check all these out. This is a great community. You can find out tips and tricks. If you're having some particular problem, there's someone local that can help you out with it. It's I encourage everybody to join one or both. Thanks.
Very good. And Casey, what do you got for us this week?
Well, you can catch me on Sunday at youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN. I'm not planning any more off the cuff trips, but I wasn't planning that last one either. Yeah. And what would you say your mission is over there at carswithcords.net, Patrick?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm blogging about our future free from fossil fuels.
Bingo. Bingo.
Gotta get
Yes.
that in.
Absolutely.
Yes, bomb.
Like
Yeah.
to thank everyone that joined us in the live chat room today. Hockey Day, Derek, regulars, staples that are always with us. Thank you so much for being there.
Dana
Dana,
and
joined us as well. And that looks
Those
like
are all the names I
Hockey
see.
Day. Tons of comments. So we appreciate you joining us live, and connect with us next week. And together, we will find out together what's going on in the Tesla life.
Indeed. Thank you, Lee Moon.
Stay positive, test negative.